Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and we're back out here in the garage for yet another First Impressions video. I went to the range this afternoon to film some more content for some upcoming reviews. If you guys don't know, when it comes to the weekend, my usual plan is to go to the range, film all the footage I need for the product reviews and the range reports that I need to work on for the week. And then throughout the week, in the evenings after I get done with my day job as a music teacher, I'll come out here to the garage and try to put together what I call the garage portion of the review. I'll edit the footage, upload it, create the thumbnails, and so forth. So it's Sunday, which means it's range day, and I've kind of been doing a divide and conquer type of strategy, because sometimes I go there and if I'm there for a long period of time, I don't say I get tired. I have to deal and I have to shoot around other people that might be visiting the range at the time, especially if I'm doing like suppressor reviews. I have to wait for them to get done, especially if they're shooting unsuppressed or they're just chatty Cathys, because you hear all of that. So I try to wait for when I'm in the range just kind of by myself. And often I go to the range in the evening or at night because I have 24-hour biometric access to my range, which I am going to go after I film this video because I do need to go review a suppressor. And right now it's about 7:45 at night. So I feel if I leave in like 15 minutes or so, there might still be some people there, but by about 9 o'clock on the private lanes, I should be good to go and I'll be able to get that review out. But I took the Colt Python this afternoon to the range, and it wasn't as big of a deal if there was, other gunshots in the background, simply because I'm shooting unsuppressed. And I was able to get a lot of good footage for this review. So on the workbench tonight, and the gun I took to the range is the modern version of the Colt Python. Now, according to Colt's website, they call this the Target. So I guess depending on the grip style the gun comes with, and I guess a few other things, they have, I guess, the Classic, and I don't know, they have different names for it, but they call this one the Target. Now, is this necessarily a target gun? I don't think so, but it's just what they call it. I think it has, as I said, more to do with the options. But it's the 4.25-inch barreled Python. So what did I think? Now, I have reviewed a Python in the past, and it's a classic Python, meaning like it's one of the old production ones in that beautiful Colt Royal Blue. And I used to own a 6-inch 1978 or 77 or 78 example of a Python, and that was an amazing revolver. So I do have some experience with the guns of this heritage, but not the modern one. And so knowing what those older guns shoot like and feel like, how does this one compare? Well, it's definitely a Python in spirit. So let me explain what I mean. The Python, the originals, were a truly special revolver. And this is coming from mainly a semi-auto tactical gun guy. It's a beautiful piece of machinery. I remember the very first shots I ever put through a Colt Python. I put one cylinder, a 357 Magnum, through a hole about this big at, I don't know, at that time, 12, 15 yards, something like that. I couldn't believe it. And the person that let me shoot their Colt Python said, "You got to try this thing out. It's amazing." And that Colt Python I shot was the one I eventually bought. Like the exact example. I bought it from my friend. I ended up trading that when I wanted to get the HK SP5. Some people are going to say that was a good idea. Some people are going to say it was a terrible idea. But I will tell you, way back in the day, and by back in the day, I'm going to say 2011, 12, which, man, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but I guess it really was. I paid $1,400 for that Python, and it was virtually unshot. I mean, it had barely any rounds through it, and I ended up selling it for like $2,800. So I think I like doubled my money on it. I probably could have waited in a few more years and got even more for it, but man, oh man, did I want that HK SP5. But This one here doesn't shoot as well as the classic, but it feels like the old Pythons in that there's something about its design, its balance. There's just something special to it. I don't think Colt initially designed the Python to be like an ergonomic gun. They just designed a semi-custom revolver in .357 Magnum. It was always their premier revolver. The old ones shoot like top-of-the-line premier revolvers, but they always had a weakness to them. And if you've ever owned one or dealt with them and possibly watched reviews of them, you know that the mechanics inside are kind of fragile. The guns are prone to going out of time and having just other mechanical issues because each gun was hand fit, hand tuned, and I think the metallurgy was not as good as today's standard. When they worked, it was a thing of beauty, but it was so easy to break them. Now, I'm not saying like, oh my gosh, you're going to go on one range trip and it's going to break, but there were things you were not supposed to do with it. But as long as you treated it well, maintained it well, it was awesome. This gun, as I said, does not shoot as well, but it feels like a Python in my hand. Both 38 Special, .357 Magnum, absolute joy to shoot. And I also have rheumatoid arthritis, and I've mentioned this in the past couple of videos because I've been having a really bad attack and flare-up in my right hand. And so actually going to the range today, I was kind of worried about reviewing this gun because I'm like, man, it's probably going to hurt. It's going to hurt. And it did not. It did not. I mean, yeah, when I loaded it up with the more powerful stuff, yeah, I felt it. But even with my flare-up going on, it's just so well balanced. It's such a hefty gun. It was a very comfortable gun to shoot. And as I said, from behind it, it's like if I closed my eyes, it felt like the old Pythons. Now, trigger. The mechanics of this gun are different than the original. I believe they redesigned it to be more simplistic. I know when these first hit the market again, there were some problems with things breaking. I think all of that has been addressed. Don't quote me on this. I think originally there were some MIM parts in there, which now are either cast or forged or something that they corrected. The trigger is not as nice. It's heavier. It's not as crisp, but compared to other revolvers made today, it's really good. It's not a trigger that you would go, wow, that is a custom revolver trigger. You would go, that's a good production trigger. So that was a little bit of a letdown, but you know, you're getting a Python, a modern made one with better metallurgy at less than half the price of a classic one that shoots almost as good. So you really can't complain. This one's in stainless steel, which I do like. You know, I know that the old Colt Royal Blue ones, they're just beautiful. They're beautiful, but man, can you hurt that finish. You can hurt that finish so easy. And then, of course, you have the nickel ones. Now, I have never been a fan of nickel guns. You have to be careful of different types of solvents and oils on them because it can damage the nickel. But man, when nickel starts to pit and wear off, I think it looks terrible. I just don't like nickel guns. I love stainless steel guns. I don't have enough in my collection because it's a finish that is easily repaired if you scratch it or whatever, but also it doesn't corrode. It doesn't wear like a blued finish. So I do like that about this particular example. So trigger's not as good as the original, and accuracy is not as good, but it feels as good. It looks as good. Some minor issues I had, and I guess maybe I don't remember this part of shooting old revolvers. I do have a couple of speed loaders for the Python. These are the, what's the company that makes these? Is it HKS? Anyway, this is the marking on them right there. So you can see it's designed for a Python. And I got these back when I owned the original. Now, the cylinder does seem to be the same dimensions, meaning that when I used the old style speed loaders on it, the rounds line up. It's all machined the same. But I feel like this cylinder might not swing out as far, And with these target grips that kind of have a little bit of a ledge right here, which actually makes them very comfortable, I found that using the speed loader, you had to be a little bit careful. It doesn't 100% line up. So if you're trying to, like, really reload them fast, I just took my time and dropped them in, and I was a little bit slower than what I would want to be with them, but it was fine. I kind of feel like maybe there's some different speed loaders today, but as I said, I don't know if the cylinder doesn't swing out as far or if it's the grips. So I could still use the classic speed loaders. It just wasn't as easy. What else? When I review this gun and I release the video for it, I already know that this is one of those guns or types of guns that I enjoy documenting my experience with, but inevitably, I'm not always excited to have the videos get released because I know that the people that are going to watch it are typically going to be hypercritical revolver shooters. There's a few guns as a gun reviewer that when I release a video, I already know what the comments are going to be. So for example, when I release any content on an AK-47, it doesn't matter if it's a good review, a bad review, if I give the caveat of I'm an AR guy, I'm an average gun guy, I'm just here, I will inevitably get okay, I'm going to say this word in kind of jest. I don't really mean if you're one of these people. AK tards, okay? People that think the AK is the end-all, be-all, the only gun that has ever existed. It's the greatest gun of all time because their gun tube hero, insert gun tube hero here, likes it on, it's a great gun. And so everything you do is wrong. Everything you say about it is wrong, so forth. And I have to deal with all those comments. When it comes to revolvers, I feel the same way, that there are revolver fanatics out there. And inevitably, I'm going to get the comments of, number one, I don't shoot revolvers as well as I do semi-autos. So why is that? Well, I have been pretty much an exclusive semi-auto shooter my entire adult life. That's just what I've liked, what I've gravitated towards. It's what I'm going to say grew up on, but I really got into guns later when I was an adult. So it's just what I'm more familiar with, what I'm more attracted to as a collector and more fascinated by. So I'm more familiar with that operation. I appreciate revolvers. I know how they work. I know how to shoot them. I just don't shoot them as well because I don't shoot them as often. So I'll be told, oh my God, you're a terrible shot. I'm going to get a lot of that. By the way, I think my groups with this were okay. I mean, not as good as like a Staccato 2011 or anything, but it was okay. So I'll get that. And then I'm going to get the people that when I make comments about either capacity or reloading, I'll get the people that are just revolver carriers that have been revolver carriers their entire life. And they only collect and shoot revolvers are going to tell me how wrong I am. 6 rounds of .357 Magnum is as good as 1,000 rounds of 9mm. I mean, I'm going to get stupid comments like that. Or, if you can't defend yourself with 6 rounds, you don't deserve to carry a gun. Or I'll even do stuff where when I cock the hammer, I might use my right thumb and pull the hammer back like that. I'll be told, no, you're supposed to use your left hand, your left thumb. Guys, I don't know. I'm going to get all that stuff. And if I use my left thumb, I'll be told I should use my right thumb. Or the way that I hold it is wrong. And if I adjust the ways that some people say to hold it, then other people will say you're wrong. I think what it is, okay, and I think this goes with more than just guns. I think it goes with cars, it goes with music, it goes with anything. Whatever was popular when you were in your formidable years, and I'm going to say your formidable years will be between the ages of 18 and let's just say 25 or 29. Okay, so essentially late teens to late 20s. Whatever is popular during that time, as you get older, you try to recapture that. That was the formidable years where you learned certain skills the way you think the world should be. And as the world changes and evolves and goes away from that, because that's the way of life, you look back at those years and say those were the best. You know, like in cars. I love cars. I love classic cars. My father and I have restored a 1969 Camaro. I like to think I know just about everything there is to know about first generation Camaros. And I like to watch old car videos and things and old races. And my dad once sent me a YouTube video, I think of like the don't get me wrong, 65 or 66 Daytona 500, okay? And I want to say at that time they were racing like Galaxy 500s, Ford Galaxy 500s, Chevelles, Impalas, that kind of stuff, like really big full-size cars. And one of the commentators in the kind of announcing, you know, I don't want to say play-by-play, the color commentary, was talking about how they don't make cars like they used to. Now, this was somebody living in the mid-'60s talking about the cars of their era. As I said, Impalas and Galaxy 500s. So what they were saying was the cars that were made today just didn't run as good as the cars of the previous generation, which could have been the cars of the 50s or the 40s, or even the hot rods and so forth of the 30s based off of like the 1932 Fords. But in today's world, we look at our cars and can say, they don't make them like they used to. And we will look back on cars from the 60s and 70s. Now, granted, the 70s was a terrible year for the automotive industry. But let's say the 60s. We'll look back and go, well, those were cars. They knew how to build cars then. But in that era, they were like, these cars suck. You have to go back, before. And I have seen how the revolver world is the same way. That people that especially are of an older generation that grew up with revolvers, carried revolvers if they were law enforcement officers or when they first this is what they shot because semi-autos were not as popular. They hold on to the revolvers today and are not wanting to evolve. Not that they can't shoot those or aren't familiar with them. It's just they go back to what they grew up with and what they're familiar with. And I find those people are the ones that cannot admit, okay, and this is another controversial thing, that the firearms world has evolved. I mean, essentially, the technology, the base technology that goes into this firearm right here, dates back to, the 1890s? A double action, single action revolver with a flip out cylinder, okay? I mean, goes back to over 130, 140 years. Now, yes, this gun is way better than the guns of that era because of metallurgy, design, mechanics, that kind of stuff. But the design, what this is essentially the same. And the world has evolved past it. It doesn't mean you can't own this and appreciate it and carry it and shoot it good. It doesn't mean any of those things, but the world has evolved past it. Just like I love classic muscle cars, I fully admit that when you drive a modern car, like, we just recently bought a new Mustang, the 2025 Mustang. That is one awesome car to drive. I mean, just the way it feels, the power, the torque, the handling, the suspension system. I mean, it's way better than any car that was made in the 60s. Even though I love the muscle cars of the 60s, I can admit that today's technology, we've come a long way. And firearms have done the same. Doesn't mean you can't appreciate them, can't enjoy them, can't study the way to shoot them, can't practice with them. And I'm not saying they're not as effective. But there are going to be people in this review that are going to look at revolvers and tell me how I'm doing it wrong, how I suck, I need to go get more training, all that kind of stuff. Or tell me how revolvers are still superior to semi-autos, which I am sorry to tell you guys. I am so sorry to tell you, revolvers are not superior to semi-autos. Are they good? Absolutely. Absolutely. A 1930 Ford Model A can get you to work and back to this day. If you maintain it and it's, you work on it and it can get you to and from work. Yes, it can. It can be a functional vehicle on the road today. But a 2025 Mustang is going to do it a lot better. And it's going to do it a lot faster, more efficient. And you have to admit that it's more modern and it's just a better vehicle. Doesn't mean you don't appreciate the Model A. Sorry for all the car analogies today, by the way. But that's the way I look at these. They're works of art. That's beautiful. I'm glad I get to shoot a gun like this. Do I want a Python like this? Yeah, I do. After shooting it, yeah, I want a Python again. I really do. I enjoyed it. But I am under no illusions that this somehow is equal to, in a battlefield self-defense scenario, home defense scenario, as a Glock 19 of any generation. Give me a Glock 19 any day of the week over this for self-defense, self-preservation, and just the modern world. Doesn't mean this can't work. It's just I think that there's more effective firearms out there. So I know that even though I'm going to give this firearm a lot of praise, I'm going to have a few criticisms of it, I'm going to give it a great review. I'm going to mark it very high. I'm going to say this is going to be, right now, and I have edited the range footage, I'm going to say it's a 4.5 star gun. 4.5, maybe 4.75 star gun once I do the whole bullet point script. So I'm going to really like it and recommend it and say it's one of the best production revolvers out there today. But I'm still going to get the people that are going to tell me how wrong I am, because it is the greatest gun that has ever been devised by a human being, because that's what they carried when they were young in law enforcement back in the 1970s or whatever. So I can't wait for all those comments. Sorry this video kind of turned into a bitch fest. But I get that on so many of my videos, and it's so hard to review so many guns of various types and calibers and styles, because not one person can't be an expert, whether that be knowledge or shooting, on every gun. It's impossible. You can't. And it's just awesome that I get to experience all these different firearms. So that's it. My first impressions with the modern Colt Python Target 4.25 inch barreled stainless steel 357 Magnum revolver. So tell me in the comment section, do you own a Python, modern or old? Have you ever shot a Python? Do you think they're one of the best revolvers of all time? And what do you think about my arguments regarding the practicality and usage of revolvers in today's world of the 21st century, and comparing it to more modern firearms? So there you go. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you watched to the end of this video, the word of the day, if you want to use it in your comments so I know you're a true vault dweller, is going to be Target. Target is the word of the day, because this is the Target model, which I had no idea that was its name before I looked it up on the Colt website today. I just was looking to see what the different barrel lengths were. Saw this one with the wood grips, and it said it was the Target model. So there you go. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for joining me here in the garage. And as always, thanks for watching.